Howdy, you two. We are here watching Rev Says Desu, little React content, a little bit of Snowman slop for you this, what is today? Thursday evening. I'm sure I'm going to upload this some other day. Rev Says Desu, he's always bringing us delightful news from the gaming industry. I don't think from music, movie industry for sure, and anything going on in the VTuber community, which we are a part of. So come check it out. He does great video, covers lots of stuff. If you don't like Lolita VTuber models, you're not going to like watching his cute little face. I believe in his defense, he did make this for his wife, and then she decided not to do a VTuber, and then he didn't want it to go to waste, and that's why he uses it. But you know what? He owns it, and you got to give him credit for that. Or you don't. You don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and pre-like this because I love Rev, and I love watching people dunk on Dragon Age. Well, Veilguard anyway. First Dragon Age was a masterpiece. I didn't finish the second one. It was really boring. I got halfway through and quit. That was a long time ago. I'd like to go back and finish it. The third one, I started about 20, 30 minutes in. I realized I was not in the mood for this type of game, which is always a tragedy when you know you're going to like a game, but you pick it up and you're just like, not what I'm feeling right now. It's unfortunate, sad, but true. Let's get into some Rev Says Desu.
As we're here. So today we can finally put a lid on Dragon Age the Veilguard because EA has come out and officially confirmed just how bad this game performed.
Give me the numbers.
And it was
Give me the
quite
numbers.
Flop. It was such a flop that investors right now are panicking and pulling out of this company because of how much carnage this caused to the company. Now, anyone with eyes knew this game was a gigantic flop, but having confirmation is nice, of course. And you can
having the confirmation is so validating.
See, just 3 months since release, it's down to 3,600 in-game players, a number that is
I'm honestly surprised it's still that high.
Abysmally low for a company like this that had so much invested into this beloved IP, including a massive budget on their game. This is not a good number for them whatsoever. And on top of that, you look at the charts. I mean, this is just your classic flop, right? The peak number was not good for the expectation.
Under 100,000 for the all-time peak. 89,000 still seems like a lot, but you got to remember how much money they spent on this. They did not get anywhere close.
And then it just slowly flatlined, and that's it. So nobody's
and that
really
was at the beginning.
When you see the headline here that's been passed around. Dragon Age the Veilguard reportedly missed EA's expectations by 50% with around 1.5 million players. Now, as soon as I saw this Bloomberg...
that says players, not purchases or games sold. I'm guessing the money they actually made was much, much worse because they're always going to go with the number that makes them sound best to the investors, which means 1.5 million players sounded better than how little money they actually made off of this. And this can technically include people who got like review copies and they didn't make any money off of that. Anyone who account shared so they could play it on their PC and then also on a console, which would count for 2. And if it was also a code they gave out to a reviewer, that's 2 players they counted, they made no money off of. And I'm betting this also counts for refunds. Yeah, refunds and returns would also probably count in million players, as long as you actively played the game or booted it up. Maybe they might even count installs. I don't know. But this number means they made less money than what this suggests. Because if they had made more money off of how many they sold, they would have said sold, copies sold, versions sold, anything other than million players. Because that is not how much they sold.
Link here. I immediately thought of Jason Schreier. He is the person who writes the articles for gaming related news over there at Bloomberg. And he is the one who is not only very woke, but he tried to back this game. And on day 1 of release, he said this: go woke, go top the charts. Now, unfortunately, that was a very poorly timed tweet. He also had the wrong.
Yeah, it did not do well.
But down here you can see how this guy actually acts. There's no way you genuinely like this turd. And he replies saying, I actually don't like the game very much, but I do like seeing you chuds get dunked on. Yeah, he would delete
Dunked on by failures.
this entire thing. And also imagine being a guy who's like in his 50s, unironically calling gamers chuds on social media, like absolutely embarrassing. But here's the article, as you can see, written by Jason Schreier. At this point, I'm convinced it's like a humiliation
Oh, he wrote
ritual,
that
making him
8 days ago.
basically post his own L's. It's kind of poetic if you think about it. But as you can see, I have no access to this article because they put it behind a paywall. Like, imagine paywalling this shit. There's no way
Are they
I'm
still
giving any
paywalling
money
articles?
to Bloomberg of
Like, you're
all
losing your
people. So I'll
jobs.
do their job for them and just do the basic research that's required to understand the situation. So posted on EA's own website here, you can see they had their pre-announcement of their preliminary Q3 2025 financial results here. And it begins off by saying this: EA's initial guidance for fiscal year 2025 anticipated mid-single-digit growth in live services net bookings. However, the company now projects a mid-single-digit decline, with global football accounting for the majority of the change. So they're having really two pain spots to clarify here. It's EA Sports and also Dragon Age. But they continue on. Global football had experienced 2 consecutive fiscal years of double-digit net bookings growth. However, the franchise experienced
No! We were into that. Get out of here, anime girls. I'm watching an anime girl.
Experienced a slowdown as early momentum in the fiscal third quarter did not sustain through to the end. As a result, EA revises its outlook for global football to end the fiscal year down mid-single digit at the midpoint of the new outlet. Separately, Dragon Age engaged approximately 1.5 million players during the quarter, down nearly 50%.
Yeah, engaged. Not sold. Engaged. That was definitely what we thought it was.
From the company's expectations. And this is not only a shocking level of failure for them, it also confirms the inside source that Smash JT reported on a few weeks ago. He claimed from the source that they sold around 1.5 million copies at that point. And guess what? Another Chud conspiracy turned Chud fact. Okay, people were saying that was made up, and as they always do with these insiders sharing information to YouTubers, but as normal, turns out to be right. And that number is cooked. Okay, and as they said here, it was down nearly 50% from the company's expectations over that time. And we're talking, as a result, millions and millions, possibly $100+ million short of their expectations. This is a spectacular failure of a game.
That's a big
You know what happens next when you have this sort of a report coming out. Basically,
firings. Firings are what happens next. Possibly closing the studio and moving people to another studio. But honestly, with this much, it's got to be firings.
Prepping the disappointment of the official report, shareholders said, I'm out. And rightfully so.
Based shareholders.
Over the past day or so.
Get out of here.
Where the stock dropped 18% in one
wonder
day.
If Tencent's gonna buy
those. That is cataclysmic. And if you see, you look at the 6 month, or use the year to date to give you a better idea. That's how bad the drop off is. Pretty consistent throughout the year, and then this massive decline. That is really
their stock's at 118.
This isn't
That's
like
still above
some
Disney.
Situation where the stock goes down a few points. It was like with like any color and Niji-san.
Can you get some ice cream and some soda? I got the last can this morning. And I'm going to want to drown my sorrows in lots of sugar. And new Game Grumps that came out. Plus, did you see, Frizz? The Grumps released a trailer for the new Power Hour season. The caffeine's not the problem, the sugar's the problem, but get me regular soda. The Grumps released, I saved it to your list too. Just get regular soda. And yes, my ice cream.
People would see like a little fall, like 3-4%, like, oh my god, they're finished, they're cooked. No, this is cooked. This is really bad. 18% in one day is a wild drop off. People have lost all faith in EA, and primarily
That's
it has
almost
to do with the
19%.
failure of Dragon Age. And
It's
of
probably gone
course,
down more
people are
since then.
making memes of this already. This person saying, "What happened, Jason?" That's brutal.
Oh, it did go down
But
more.
yeah, let's talk about Dragon Age one more time here, just to really hammer this home. The reason this game failed is for pretty obvious reasons. It's filled with agenda pushing. It pushed its luck with a beloved franchise, expecting people to just buy the.
Yeah, the problem is the Dragon Age in the name. If you had just made it a game without the words Dragon Age in it, it honestly would have been fine. But they had to slap Dragon Age on there to try and get all the Dragon Age fans the nostalgia. Hey, we brought back one of your favorite series. Okay, but it was made by people who had nothing to do with the other games that made it our favorite, one of our favorite series. If those people aren't still there, then there was no chance you were going to bring back that magic. And those people are off making another fantasy game that looks incredible. And now the big problem is people are worried they're going to do this to Mass Effect next. Hopefully they learned a lesson. Game companies don't usually, but honestly, a lot of them have been turning around, getting rid of like their DEI policies that caused a lot of the things that were, because one of the things that was wrong with it are the developers coming out and publicly like scolding gamers for not agreeing with them on everything. And you can't do that. You can't insult your customers and expect them to buy your products.
Slop just because they've liked the previous titles. And I think the disconnect between the gaming industry and gamers has never been more clear than the reaction to this game. You can see the Metascore was generally favorable with an 82. The user score is generally unfavorable with a 3.9.
And I see Rev didn't score it.
There is no other way to clearly show the disconnect between the two, and it's never been so obvious. And at some point, the industry has to start listening, and unfortunately for a lot of them, it might be too late. I mean, BioWare is in big trouble.
It really is.
EA will be fine for now. They have so many revenue sources.
Yeah, EA are the kings, and I believe the OGs of heavily monetizing every possible thing they can.
But BioWare is in some big trouble right here, and the rumors are also that they're shutting down their Edmonton office. That's been called a false rumor. We'll see if that one turns out true as well, just like many other rumors.
Let's see if the Chud facts come back.
That end up being true. But anyways, there's also something going on here. I saw this article from The Gamer. This was posted a day ago. It's titled, "Women and Non-Binary Devs Now Make Up 32% of All Game Developers, up from 24%.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's whether or not they try to shove it down your throat and into all the games to the point that they don't care if it's a good game. It's just the game they wanted to make to you. And to preach like whatever it is, the political messages that they're trying to get across. Because if they made them good games, we wouldn't care. But they don't care about making them good games.
In 2022, in just 3 years, we've seen a 8-point increase in the number of women and non-binary devs in the industry. Now, I don't think that happened naturally. That sounds a lot like DEI and agenda pushing to me. And that is something that is strange. Again, another disconnect, because we saw how a lot of this resulted in activism in the games. Veilguard is a great example. The lead director, who is now resigned, is a trans person. And
yeah, they got out quick. Like before all this came out, they were like, they just pieced out. I assume so they didn't have to take the blame for it.
We had a bunch of trans and gender ideology type stuff forced into the game. And it's obvious that they allow their own personal beliefs and their values go into their project. And that is something that ends up always rubbing people the wrong way. And it's always obvious when people are self-inserting or forcing their own agenda into a game. It's always glaring. It might not be glaring to the person doing it, but to outside people, it's so obvious when you're getting virtue signaled and pandered to. And this
Amen.
Headline right here really shows, again, another disconnect, because they seem to value activism and DEI a lot more than making an enjoyable experience for gamers. And also, I wonder how this is all going to interplay with some of the stuff going on in the United States. It was just announced within the last day that all federally backed DEI programs.
I'd be interested to find out how much the government was actually in the DEI projects for video games, because I would not be surprised at all.
Any federal level DEI program is now shut down. Like they're gone, all of them. There's literally thousands of people out of work who are working on a federal level pushing DEI. They're all gone now. Now the question is, where do they take their lovely skill set? You know, their skill set of basically just enforcing discrimination. Well, they're going to go to private companies and they're going to go to non-government related positions. And I worry there's going to be a big influx of DEI related employees and people with that sort of background starting to flood into places like the gaming industry. And I think
I don't know. I feel like the gaming industry is kind of changing, just as much as the government's going to be. Like they're losing a lot of money, and they got to get sick of it at some point. Especially when they start losing investors, they're going to take a look at why and be like, "We need to fix this," because they only care about money. They don't care about the games. They don't care about the gamers. They only care about making money. That's why voting with your wallet is the most important thing you can do.
that is something to keep an eye on. As always with stuff like this, DEI never just goes away. They try to rebrand, they try to work their way into other fields. So you always have to be very vigilant. I know it's very tempting in times like this, you know, with the DEI programs being shut down, BioWare failing with Veilguard and all that stuff. And you want to take a victory lap. And it's okay to cheer here and there, but don't give up, okay? Don't let your guard down, because these companies, they always try to rebrand, restructure, name themselves something different, or go silent, because that seems to be the play that a lot of companies are doing right now. They're just
Yep, cockroaches always come back. Now, normal cockroaches don't call themselves different names, but these will. Be on your guard. Continue to vote with your wallet, and things will change.
rebranding their DEI programs. They're naming it something else. They're describing it as something else, so they can say publicly, "Oh, we got rid of our DEI program," and people will be happy to hear that. But in reality, they're not actually making any significant change. They're just renaming and hiding, which is the concern, and that's something we've seen many times. So basically, to sum that up, don't let your guard down. Keep putting pressure on these people. Keep calling this stuff out, criticizing it, and let's keep making progress here. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
I did, Rev.
Everything
Thank you
the
very
Light
much.
touches is
No,
your
get
canvas.
out of here. Get out of here. Give him a like. This was Rev Says Desu. He brings me pop culture news. And he mostly just reports on facts. Sometimes he does get a little biased as well, but he takes a lot of hits from people who do not like him simply because. A lot of the people who don't like him because his model is so young looking, the lolly model. I get that. It's not for everybody.